I was in love with the show. You know the show Lassie?
Yeah, of course. That's a
I
classic.
used to cry when it would end. So one Christmas I got the Lassie.
Oh, that's cute. Hey, everybody, we're recording.
Hey.
Welcome to Unfiltered Friendship, our very first episode. Hopefully, many more to come. I'm Casey.
I'm Chloe.
If you've read the description of our podcast, which I assume you have, and that's why you're here, we're two friends who talk a lot
about everything and anything.
And laugh a lot. And today is Wine Wednesday.
Wine Wednesday.
Woo-hoo. Cheers. We're going to take a sip. We are drinking Sauvignon Blanc, which is my favorite.
It's pretty good.
It's really good.
I've never had it before, but I'm enjoying it.
I told you it's good. This is the Costco brand. I love Costco. And I love wine, so it works out perfectly.
I may have to stay overnight.
You're always welcome. You can sleep with Moose. He's
Although
sleeping
I
on the
got to
couch.
be up and at work at 6:30.
Yes, you do, which your job is very important. You could talk a little bit about that.
I'm a nanny, and I love it. I do not have any children of my own, but I've been doing it for many years. I started off in high school in the work program in the child development and worked in many daycares, and then went on to nannying and having many years with many families, and still get to see the children, which is a pleasure. And I'm with a family right now, and I really enjoy it. It's awesome.
Yeah, you're really good at it. You've been doing it a long time. And that's actually how we met, working in childcare together.
Yes, at a Lifetime Fitness.
Many years ago.
Yes.
Like 17 years?
Yep, that's how we met. And even though there's a big age difference.
I knew she was going to say that. She says it every time.
25?
24.
24 years.
You just added a year. 24.
I do not act my age.
You don't, which is a good thing.
And that's why we have a lot of fun together. And we click.
Well, age is just a number. It's all about how you feel, right?
Exactly.
We like to have fun. We like to laugh. We're drinking our wine. We're getting ready for Halloween, which is tomorrow. Finally.
Woohoo!
Came
Lots of
quickly.
good candies.
Yes, but I don't want my kids to have too much. My son loves candy, and you have to hide some of it because he'll just sit and eat the whole thing. And that's what I did this weekend. So we did trunk or treats. They got a lot of candy. I was surprised. I thought just like a few pieces. No, they had bags full.
Well,
and I hid it in the pantry.
A little bit for me.
I will save some for you. What kind do you like?
I'm usually a red licorice girl.
Ooh, I love red.
We have the Twizzlers. I do like peanut M&Ms, Kit Kats, Snickers. How about you?
I like all that you just named. Sometimes I'm in the mood for chocolate, and I like Kit Kats, Reese's, Snickers. But then I do like just the candy in general. I love Skittles, Starburst, all that good stuff.
Now, do you feel like some of the Halloween candy, the smaller pieces that come in the bags, taste different than when you buy a bar at the candy store?
I do.
Yes, I do too.
Especially Reese's, which I know a lot of people like Reese's.
Exactly.
I feel like if you get them just in a big bar or separate package, it tastes way fresher.
Exactly.
And I feel that the holiday ones taste better. So if you get like the Halloween ones or the Christmas ones, I think they taste fresh. They taste really good as opposed to the ones that maybe are sitting on the shelf for a while.
Exactly.
Which some people might think I'm crazy for saying that, but I think
I think there's many
way better
who feel that way because it's just made for the holiday and they have to make the special extra wrapping for the holiday. So that's fresher.
Yeah, it's fresher. It tastes better. But I mean, I like candy, which maybe that's where my son gets it because he loves. He says candy. Candy. I need candy.
Where is he from?
I don't know. But he always will wake up, especially now with the holiday season, he wants candy at 8 a.m.
Have they been asking you for the last 2 weeks? Is it Halloween yet?
Every day. So that's why I'm like, yay, tomorrow is officially Halloween. We've been doing trunk or treats, costume parties, all that fun stuff. Carving, painting pumpkins. It's been fun, but I'm ready to get the show on the road. I love Halloween, but I'm ready to move on.
You're ready for the tree?
I'm always ready for my tree. That's like my happy place. I'm like Mrs. Claus. I'm very excited to decorate.
And do they enjoy decorating the tree with you? Are they
Yes.
into that yet at this age?
Yes, but we do multiple trees for that reason because I like to have one pretty tree and I like to have
Mama's
it.
tree.
It's Mama's tree. Everybody else can look at it, but it's mine to
Look,
decorate.
but don't touch.
Correct. Especially years before because they were so young. I'm like, don't be touching and breaking the ornaments. I mean, I didn't do glass ones for the last couple of years for that reason solely, but I always do my tree. I decorate it the way I want. I make it extra pretty. I take my time because I enjoy doing it. But then we have like their kid trees. They each have an individual tree that they get to decorate.
I think that's a great idea because when I was a little kid back in the day, there was only one big tree for the house, and my mother would not be happy if we didn't want to help decorate.
Mm-hmm.
So you spend all that time helping, and then you wake up in the morning, and every ornament that you put on the tree is placed somewhere else because it had to be perfect to Mama's size.
Yes, and that's how I am, and I realize that.
So I think it's a great idea that there is more than one tree in the house.
Yeah, so we do the big one. Like I said, I take my time. I do it just the way I want it. I play around with the ornaments. It has to be just right. I usually do it when they're at school. My husband's at work. And then they each have their own individual tree in their room. My daughter's is very girly because she's very girly. She loves princesses and unicorns, pink, purple.
Oh, yeah.
And my son loves Spider-Man, cars, everything, it's very boyish. And then we have like a kind of like a medium-sized tree, I would call it. And last year, which we'll probably do this year, we did all Disney ornaments.
Oh, that's cute.
So my daughter has all her princess ones. My son, it's not Disney, but he has Spidey. And then he does have Mickey, which is Disney.
So he has Universal.
Yeah, so we have multiple trees. I've always been like that. And now that we have a bigger house, we might even add another tree. We'll see.
Why not? One in every room.
The more the merrier.
That's right.
So I'm ready for all things Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I love that song by Andy Williams. That's another hint towel line.
See, I'm ready. Stop with your age. I'm ready for all of that. But we don't want to skip on Thanksgiving. I do love Thanksgiving. But I love Christmas more. I'm just being honest.
My Thanksgiving is not Thanksgiving anymore, which is sad.
Why is that?
Well, when your parents pass, it's very, very different.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people start just deciding, family people decide to go to restaurants, or they do it smaller and just themselves. And
yeah.
It's just not the same.
Not the same.
Things change.
Things definitely change. And I know about that because we were talking before we actually started recording. Because my dad passed just over 2 months ago, going on 3, August 18th of this year. And this will be the first. This will be the first. I had my first birthday without him last month. That was very challenging. Just woke up very, very sad with a heavy heart. I'm usually birthday queen. Love birthdays. Yeah, I like to make them fun.
You're 90% a cheerful person.
I like to think of myself that way. I love birthdays. I like to decorate, make a huge deal about it for my kids, my husband. This year just didn't really care, to be honest with you. Just wanted to get through the day because I just woke up with a very heavy heart and just felt that all day long. So it's like the first of many firsts. So usually I love holidays, and I don't know what they're going to be like this year. But like you said, I know they're going to be different.
For sure.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard, and it's going to come in flashes back and forth in your head. But there'll be times that you'll enjoy and be happy that you still have your mom, all your siblings,
yes,
your children, your husband. So that is, of course, much to be thankful for.
Yes, I'm very thankful for that. I mean, you have to focus on the positive, try to be positive. I mean, I know I'm going to do my best. I'm going to have a smile on my face because I have 2 young children. My son's 3, my daughter's 4 and a half.
Keep it going for them. Yes.
Yeah, and my nieces and nephews, I want to be happy. I know my dad would want us to be happy.
Definitely.
But it's just all these firsts without, because grief is such a roller coaster. There's so many ups and downs. And I mean, I'm still very new into the grieving process because I would think the first year would be new, right? I mean,
definitely.
Yeah, because I mean, you've lost both your parents and your sister close together too, which is extra hard.
About 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot going on for quite a while there. And it's different for everyone, and people sometimes don't understand because they haven't lost someone, but they think you need pity or this and that. Or, That's why as you get to a certain stage, you don't say anything anymore because you don't really feel like there's anyone to understand unless they've gone through it. Um,
Yes.
when you lose your mom in 2006, your sister 2000 and I think it was seven, and your father 2010. That's a lot going on, and not saying it takes away all your pain. Like I said, of course, there's going to be flashes coming and going, good and bad days.
Yeah.
But if you have a spouse and you have children, they're going to be needy and need things, and that keeps you a little busy. It's bath time, it's dinner time, time to take you to school, this and
Yeah.
that.
It's nonstop.
But if you don't have a spouse or a boyfriend or children at the time, it can be very hard that you're going home. Thank God I had my dog.
Aw, your fur baby.
They can't speak back to you, but they're there to hug you and sit on you. And
It's unconditional love.
exactly.
And it's the best.
That's why I'm a big dog lover, a big animal lover.
Yeah, talk about your fur baby.
I had a fur baby for 17 years.
Which is a really long time. I mean,
Yes.
that's awesome.
It still never seems long enough, but it is for a pet. And that was my Holly girl. Now I have
Aw.
Jax, and I think that was the best thing I ever did. Jax came in, he'll be 12 on Christmas this year. He's a little
Aw.
Maltese, and
He's so sweet.
he's a good boy, and he learned a lot from her because I brought him in when she was 14.
That's right.
Think he gave her 3 years. She got a pep back in her step, and I believe he learned a lot from her.
Definitely.
So that was the best thing I ever did. Yet there was many worries that I didn't want her to feel like I was saying, out of here. That
Yeah.
there's a new baby in the house. But it worked wonders, and it was good for both of them.
I think so too. I mean, dogs are just that. They're unconditional love, man's best friend. They're comforting.
And they say spelled backwards is God.
God. Yes. Yes.
They're our little angels.
They are.
I wish they could just be around a lot longer.
Me too. I mean, well, we have Moose over here. You can't. I don't know if you can hear him.
Who's
But
adorable.
he is adorable. He's my fur baby. And he's snoring over here on the couch, taking his
Like a little old
nap.
man.
I would say afternoon nap, but I mean, let's be honest. He just naps all day. He's my old man. But
He's
my
living
baby.
the dream.
He is living
A
the
good
dream.
life.
He's got a great life. He's
That's
had to learn to share attention with my actual children that I birthed, but he's still my baby.
Which you wonder, they can't speak and tell us what they're thinking, but they deal with it, and
I
that's
mean,
why they're so good.
They've got to have a lot of thoughts. I mean, you saw the mailman or woman pulled up earlier, and it was like all hell broke loose with him. First standing straight up, barking, being a lunatic. I'm
Again, is it their job?
that is their job. But
That's
they
right.
are, they are comforting. And you hit on a lot because, I mean, you had a lot of loss in a short amount of time, a lot of huge losses. I mean, especially the loss of your parents. That's a big one. That's up there with spouse, children. Those are like the top greatest losses. And you had a lot in a row. And
Again, it doesn't matter, though, if it's a friend or
No.
a relative.
No.
Love is love, and
love is love.
you hurt, for sure.
Yeah, and I think a parent is just, at least I'm experiencing, it's just a special type of bond and relationship. That's just a huge loss.
Definitely.
Because, they were there from day one.
Right.
If
They
you're
brought
lucky.
you here. They brought you in here.
They taught you how to live life. They taught you how to laugh. They taught you how to do everything.
Exactly.
And now you have to do it without them. And that's the hardest part. I mean, sometimes you go
And then
through...
I'm sure you hurt for your children, too, because they have
Yes.
grandma and grandpas. And
Yeah, my children, so many people have said, you're lucky that they're young when your dad passed, but I disagree completely. Because I feel like they were robbed at a time, and my daughter has brought up my dad every day since he's passed. So that was August 18th. Today is October 30th. Every day. Usually
tells you what a wonderful man he was and a wonderful
he was
grandpa.
the best, and he left a huge impact. And I mean, she'll be 5 in February, so she's just short of 5. So she's young, but she remembers a lot, which I'm thankful for. I think she may actually remember him because she'll tell me stories about things that were 2 years ago, and she's accurate. She's remembering everything the way that it was. But I disagree with them being young because I think they're robbed at a time. And it's hard to explain things to them.
Exactly.
Because as a parent, I'm grieving, but I also have to explain things to my 2 children that are very young.
Yes, but they don't really understand.
they don't understand, and I'm trying to make sense of it myself.
And sometimes you don't even understand.
Correct, I don't, because it's just like,
how could this happen?
You can't help but ask why, and it still doesn't feel real. I mean, sometimes I wake up, you're a little disoriented when you wake up and you're kind of out of it, especially if you haven't had coffee yet, which I'm a big coffee person. I need my coffee right away, and I need lots of it. But sometimes I'm still like, is this real life? Like, it takes a minute for me to realize that he is gone. My dad is gone. He's not coming back. You hope it's just like a nightmare, but it's not.
Exactly, because you're a very close family. And
yes.
I'm sure driving to your parents' home, you're hoping that he is going to open the door and say, hi, Casey.
In that big voice that I could still hear in my head. And I still hear it when I go to my parents' house because my mom lives where I grew up my whole life.
Your home?
Yeah, that was their home, that they raised their 3 children and their 6 grandchildren. And it's a special place. And I spent so much time there over the years, just growing up and whatnot. But just while my dad was sick, I spent so much time, just the 2 of us, which I'm forever, grateful for that we had that one-on-one time because I'll never get that back.
Exactly.
But it wasn't exactly easy because my dad was sick. So I was caring for him, taking care of him and taking him to doctor's appointments, which there were so many doctor's appointments because my dad had cancer, which unfortunately is so common nowadays. I mean, everybody knows somebody that has cancer, had cancer, died of cancer because it's everywhere.
But it also, I think it's so shocking because it all, from the day you found out cancer to the day he passed,
was very quick. Was very quick. And I'm realizing now, just from hearing other people speak, I mean, it seems very common. If it's stage 4 cancer, a lot of times people, by the time they have symptoms, by the time then it's diagnosed, it's stage 4.
Right.
There's not much they could do. Obviously, every cancer, story is going to be different, depending on the type of cancer, the age of the person, their overall health. But I'm realizing now, it seems like that's very common, that by the time they're actually showing symptoms, it's stage 4. There's not much they can do.
It's too late, right? And it's sad that maybe they only had a tummy ache or something, but yet it takes so long with all the testings and things they put you through to find out exactly what it is.
I feel like it takes too long to diagnose. Mm-hmm. Like my dad did go to the doctor many times. Something's not right.
Neglectful.
No, he always went for his yearly exams and did all that because he was just 10 days short of 69 when he passed, which is not very old.
No, it isn't.
But he did go to the doctor. He wasn't somebody that neglected his health. He did what he needed to do, and he did go to the doctor many times and said, something's not right, which as you get older, you know your body, right? We all know our bodies. He knew something wasn't right, but it took couple months to fully diagnose, and by that time it was stage 4. So, and I'm realizing that that's happening more and more. I've been following cancer journeys on TikTok, and it just seems like, unfortunately, that's just the way it's going. But you have to wonder why cancer is everywhere. I mean, it's not just older people.
What's very sad, they do say the government and everyone behind, plus government and above, that they don't really want a cure, maybe a cure, but it's all about making money, which is so sad and sick to think about.
Yeah, that makes me sick to my stomach.
Pharmacies and this and that wanting to be making money and medicine and this and that, which is terrible to think about, but it doesn't make me not think that, it's possible that, yes, it's all very true. It's all about money.
I agree with what you're saying. It makes me sick to my stomach, especially just watching firsthand what my dad endured over 8 months, which is a pretty long time. I think you're right, unfortunately. But it's not just, I feel like a lot of my dad's generation are getting cancer. My husband's aunt passed July 2nd of this year from stage 4 ovarian cancer. And then my dad, stage 4 esophageal cancer. And then my dad's friend's wife just passed this month, stage 4 pancreatic.
You hear too much. It's like everybody knows somebody, of course, who has cancer.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's everywhere. Has, had, or has passed. I mean, it's just, and man, it's windy out. Sorry, I'm just facing windows, and it's just whoa, I feel like my umbrella's
The
going to go
leaves
flying.
and the umbrella are going with the leaves.
Yeah. But I mean, cancer is just the devil. I truly believe that. And it's not, like I said, my dad was in his upper 60s, and I feel like that generation really is getting hit with it, but it's everywhere.
It's
I
everywhere,
mean,
and the saddest is that you have to worry that you bring in these beautiful little children you have, but hopefully it never happens. But there are so many that little kids have dealt with.
yeah, and the only thing I can think of, you see babies that have it, and you're thinking, how is that even possible? Like a 2 month old, how does a 2 month old have cancer? The only thing I can think of, and I'm not a doctor, disclaimer, not claiming to be a doctor, but the only thing I can think of is when a baby's inside a mom, they consume everything the mother consumes, right? The food she eats, what she drinks, goes right to the baby, right? The only thing I can think of is that it's in the food
Exactly, because when you think
or the
back in the
products.
day when my parents, who were much older than yours, but yours also,
Yeah.
what they ate and did back then, you didn't hear that much of cancer.
No.
And
No.
maybe they didn't, people say, well, they didn't know, they didn't have a name back then. But mainly
Right.
people died from
That's
either
true.
heart attack, old age, but not so much of the word cancer.
Sorry if you're hearing this clink.
So,
I'm refilling our wine glasses. Wine Wednesday.
I believe, yes, food has changed.
Yes.
People buying more processed food.
You just hit the nail on the head. I was gonna say processed food.
And things they even spray outside, everything. You have to worry about everything you touch and do nowadays, which is so sad and so scary.
It is sad because obviously, speaking of refilling our wine glasses, alcohol's, it's not good for you. I mean, I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. It's not good for you. You should do it in moderation if you're going to do it. Obviously, smoking's very bad. I call them cancer sticks because that's what they are.
Exactly, true.
But people are getting cancer that have never smoked a day in their life.
And
So,
look at, I mean, alcohol has been around for years and
Yeah.
years and years. And you heard of, okay, people having, liver problems from
Right.
maybe being an alcoholic or kidney problems, but not the word cancer. What has been made differently in alcohol, possibly?
right, because a lot of things have changed how they get our food, and I've watched documentaries on Netflix and that, and it's interesting, but it's also very upsetting if you watch like what we're actually consuming, what we're going to the grocery store or restaurant and getting, consuming, putting in our body. It's alarming. And then all these cancer cases, like I said, my parents' generation, they're getting hit hard, but it's also young people. I recently saw somebody that was a couple years older than me from high school, just passed from cancer and had been battling it for a couple years. A girl that I worked with years ago, her son, a toddler, just had cancer. So that's making me sick to my stomach. I mean, it's just everywhere. And you have to wonder why. I think it's really in the food, not only the food that we're consuming, but products that we're putting on our skin. Deodorant, makeup, body wash,
outside
shampoo.
sprays on grass, anything, everything.
I mean, it has to just be everywhere because cancer's just, I mean, you can't find somebody that doesn't know somebody that's been affected by cancer. Like I said, whether it's somebody that they know that had it, a family member, a friend, or somebody that currently has it, or somebody that's passed. I mean, that's just unheard of. It's literally everywhere, and it makes me sick to think that it's all about money. But I think you're right.
Yes. Very sad, very true. And will it ever change? Sadly, I don't know because the world is all about money, which is terrible because the people that are making it, would their people be taken care of before the common, ordinary, everyday families?
Yeah.
Is hard to think that. Do they understand? Or are these people that just don't care because money is so important to them? They're not planning on having children and they just care about themselves and living a rich style life.
Yeah, that makes me sick to my stomach.
I mean, I hope that's not true, but we just don't.
We just don't know, and I feel like, I mean, look at
We
COVID.
hear rumors, and of course, that's what we're
I've
thinking. It makes you believe
I've heard that
that
many
it's
times.
possible.
But I mean, look at COVID, 2020. Not that long ago, right? It's the year my daughter was born. They already had vaccinations out very quickly. So they could get a vaccine out for that right away. And people were dying of that. And there's a lot of controversy about that. I mean, a lot of people say it's if they had underlying health issues, those people were compromised. So
yes, is that
it
going to
was hitting
show
them
up to
harder.
be cancer someday too? There,
Wouldn't surprise me.
right?
But I mean, if they could come up with a vaccination for that so quickly, cancer's been around for, I mean, I'd have to Google it because I Google everything. That's how I get my answers for everything. But it's been around for a very long time,
Google's
right?
wonderful.
Google's great. YouTube. My husband and I were talking about that last night. He uses YouTube to look up a video how to tie a tie because he doesn't wear ties frequently. And he's like, you can, YouTube or Google anything. And
I
he's
know. I
right.
wish I was in school nowadays. Back in the days, we didn't have any of that. You didn't have a phone. You couldn't bring.
Yeah.
Now children just Google everything.
Google
and
really
get
quickly.
All your answers.
Yeah, I mean,
how smart are they nowadays? I don't know, but
cancer's been around for a very long time at this point, I would say. I don't know what year the first cancer case. We could YouTube Google that, but it's been around for a while. So if they can find vaccinations and cures for various diseases, why can't they for cancer?
Well, is the COVID again about somebody who became rich because there's many people who have problems with the COVID shot, and then there's many people that do not take the COVID shot because it hasn't been around long enough.
It hasn't.
We all had when we were children, all our other shots that were around for many, many years.
Right, and as a parent, it's scary when you which this could be a whole different thing, but when you have a baby, in the very beginning, they get all these vaccinations, and you have the right as a parent to say, I want them to have this, I don't. It's a little scary because you're like, well, what am I really putting in my child? It's a little alarming. And when I had my son, which I had him in June of 2021, COVID, was everywhere at that point. And they were starting to, especially different places of employment, were starting to push employees, you need to have the COVID vaccination to come back to work, right? People were getting pushed to do things that they were uncomfortable doing. And I remember talking to my gynecologist about it. I was pregnant with my son, and I was like, I'm not getting that vaccination right now. It's very new. Mm-hmm. I'm not putting that in my body because I don't know what the heck it is, what it's capable of. And I'm thinking about my son, and I refuse. I'm like, I'm absolutely not getting that. But I know my sister who is pregnant, my niece is 3 months older than my son. Her work wanted her to have it, and she was like, I'm not getting that. And I was like, don't, because we don't know what it is. It's so new. So who knows if years later down the line, they're going to be going.
She's lucky because a lot of people demand it. If you don't have it, you
can't work. And people needed money to work to make money to live.
So you have to get it. Otherwise, no money's coming in, no check, and finding
right. And there was a lot of controversy about that. And even some places of employment where like, you need to get it. It's like, why? I'm working remotely. I'm at my house, with my family. I'm not affecting anybody else. And that was a huge thing. So who knows if years down the line, they're going to be saying, that COVID vaccination we came up with is no good, and it's leading to these health issues. Would that surprise me? No.
Because you hear now, a lot of people think, they hear of people having heart attacks, and they think it's from the COVID shot.
Yes, and I've had, if somebody passes, a lot of people will ask that question. Did they have the COVID vaccination?
Exactly.
Or the boost? Because then people were doing the boost and such. I don't know how frequently you do that because I didn't do that. But then people were saying, maybe that led to something. I mean, I don't think they're necessarily wrong, but it just seems crazy that they can't come up with, a cure to cancer.
You don't know what to believe.
No, you don't know what to believe. And the media makes it really hard to believe a lot of things, and you don't know what's true and what's not. But, I mean, I just think it's a little crazy that it's 2024. There's no cure for cancer, not even one type of cancer. Because there's so many, there's cancer, so many different types of cancer, right?
Yes.
You would think at least there would be, a breast cancer cure or something. Right. There's nothing. There's chemo, there's radiation.
But they say that kills your body too.
It does, because you're basically putting poison in your body. And I know
it might help something, but then it's going to work on something else and damage another part of your body.
And I know just personally watching my dad, he'd be feeling okay, maybe a little fatigued. He'd go in for chemo. It wiped him out. Wiped him out. And he would spike a high fever. He'd get the shakes. That was his biggest complaint. And my dad didn't complain pretty much ever. He would get the shakes.
He was a pretty happy-go-lucky man.
He was very happy all the time. And thought to myself, he has every reason to complain right now, and he's not. He's not feeling sorry for himself. He's not throwing a pity party. I mean, I'd get in the car to leave and just burst into tears because of what I just witnessed. But he never really complained. But I mean, he would go in for that chemo and it would just wipe him out. He'd spike a high fever. He'd get the shakes. The shakes would last a very long time. The shakes were so intense, he would just be wiped out completely.
That's like my sister. And then
Yeah.
you think some people go through these. My sister had that AML leukemia and needed bone marrow, and family was not a match.
Which you would think, first off, family's what you go to, right? For a match. That's
Exactly.
where most people's heads go.
Which was a shock that, okay, there's half sisters, but there's real sister, real, nieces, nephew, this and that somebody would, and if they don't, and you find it from a different country that, yes, it's 100% match. Wonderful. But
Which
then
is great, but yeah, you would think it'd be
worked.
family.
Some people, it does wonders for, and they've been around for many, many, many years. For my sister, it worked for about 8 months, a year, and then it went downhill from there. You go through all that, and then the worst still happens.
And how long was your sister feeling sick before she was diagnosed? Do you have a timeline on that? I'm just curious.
I'm thinking like 7 months, 8 months before. Very tired.
The fatigue, yeah.
Yes.
Any other symptoms, or was it just, gosh, I'm so tired?
A little bit eventually, when it was getting closer to she started doctoring, bruising.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The bruises would stay around a little longer, and it would be like just a simple little bump that you shouldn't have a bruise, but it would show on it.
It would be there and it would stay for a while, like
Yeah.
it did go away.
Yeah, like a bruise that sticks around after you really bumped yourself good, but
Yeah.
just a tap, you'd get a bruise and see the color.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm always curious because I feel like, again, every cancer case is different. Whether the type of cancer, how old the person is, their overall health, are we finding it early or are we finding it late? But I'm always curious about the symptoms because, again, just still digesting everything I saw my dad go through. For him, it was fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And not to sound funny, but you're thinking, okay, Dad, you're getting older. I'm tired too, but I have 2 little kids.
Right.
But every case is so different. But for him, fatigue was the biggest. Then it turned into not being able to swallow food. Well, it's cancer of the esophagus. It's going to affect that. But that came a little bit later. But I'm always just curious with people what the timeline is. Are you feeling symptoms? And we were talking earlier, like some of the symptoms of like bone cancer. It's like, oh, your back hurts. Well, I'm 36 and my back hurts, because I was in a car accident in 2012.
And isn't that a sad thing that crosses your mind? Oh my gosh, is it just arthritis or working out, or is it going to be
right? And you just
bigger?
hit the nail on the head. Like, people have arthritis, so they're going to have aches and pains. People work out. I mean, I worked out the other day, and I got out of bed. I'm like, holy crap, I'm sore. Which is good. It means I got a good workout in. But again,
Right.
you're thinking all these things because I was in a car accident in 2012 and I don't think my back ever really recovered from it. I did physical therapy. When I was pregnant, my back would kill me. Not to make a big deal about it, but I'm just saying people have different aches and pains.
Right.
I'm always
Everybody's
curious what the
different,
symptoms
right.
are because I feel like with every cancer, with every person, it's different. It's going to hit you different. But it's almost like, what can you even look for? Back pain? I bet you a lot of people have back pain.
Right.
Especially if you do physical labor for your job. You're going to have aches and pains, right? And as you get older, you do. That's what's so scary, though, because you don't know what to look for. There's not one thing. It's every case is different. So it's scary to think about the timeline of everything and just, oh man, one day I think they'll come up with a cure, but
that would be beautiful, but money makes the world go round. Not to be negative.
No, I don't think you're being negative. I think you're just being real. Which is what we're here in this podcast, to be real. Like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Say it.
We say what we think.
Especially you. Which I think is a good thing.
Say what I feel and say what I think, and I say honest. I get it out. There's no bullshitting around or holding it back or rude.
But I like that. I like that. You do that. My husband does that. You guys have taught me to do that, just to be real and
I
say what I
once
think
you
and
get
feel.
out the truth, it's the best. It might hurt, but the truth is always the honest. It may hurt, but you didn't hold back or lead something on for too long.
I respect people that just, whatever they're thinking and feeling, they just say it. I mean, because who wants to be lied to?
I
don't.
I am.
Yes.
I'm a Virgo.
Virgos are a piece of work. I'm a Libra. Nobody ever has anything bad to say about a Libra, right? It's always Virgos and Scorpios.
You're on the edge, though, aren't you? I mean, what day starts
I think
Libra?
it starts like the 24th of September, which
Okay.
my sister-in-law is. But I'm a Libra, and usually people don't have bad things to say about me.
No, I really have never heard nothing bad about Libra. Maybe
No.
that's why I love you so much.
I mean, I like to think I'm lovable, but I heard a lot of bad things about Geminis, and I got really upset because my son's a Gemini, and so is my nephew, who's my godson, and I was like, what the hell? They're saying all these bad things about Geminis, and I was like, my son cracks me up. He's like a big personality.
Even if they do, it's the people they're surrounded around and brought up.
Yes.
So you're the mama.
But I was very upset, and it was like some podcast. I don't even remember because I followed various things. And I was like so undone about it. And I sent it to my sister. I'm like, well, Nate and Leo are Geminis. I'm like, what the hell is this? But I hear Gemini, Scorpios, Virgos as always. But I really think it's the person. Because not everybody fits their like sign that well. Like my husband is a Taurus to a freaking T. I mean,
see, when I read
crap.
things that they write on Instagram about Virgos, 90% I see it in me.
You're a Virgo. My sister is. Yeah,
Which
I
one?
could see that. Caitlin.
Okay. Do you see it?
I love Virgos. I have a lot of relationships.
They're blunt, but they're honest.
I love it. Virgos are great. No, they are. They are.
There's no pussyfooting around.
No, I love a good Virgo.
Say what you feel, and they say the truth.
I love it. No, and I love that about you, and that's what this podcast is about.
A lot of people can't take it, or they don't speak to you again. But
well, screw them. We'll drink to that. Cheers. Wine Wednesday. We're gonna take a sip. But no, we covered a lot on our first podcast. We actually recorded one on October 16th.
We didn't even get on it today.
There's
so much to talk about.
We had a lot of technical difficulties. And we probably still will, but like with anything, you got to just try it out and see what happens, see what works. We'll fix things later. But we did do a podcast, and I thought it was pretty good for our first one. But
hey, we said a lot.
It just was too long to even post it. I showed my husband. He's like, that's too big of a file to even post. I'm like, great. I need help. But hopefully this one posts. And we've covered a lot about grief and just the roller coaster of it, especially within the first couple months, which is where I'm at. But even going to where you're at, it's still heavy, and it still affects you.
You still feel it. It's, of course, different. I just read something about someone said it's like having a stone in your pocket.
Yes. I love that. You sent it to me, and that resonated with me. And I was like, oh, I had tears in my eyes. I think that's a perfect way of putting it. And I think I shared that on my Instagram story because you sent it to me, and it resonated. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Maybe you'll have to post it.
I think I'm going to post it again because
I feel that tremendously.
I think it was just the perfect way of putting it. It's a stone, like in your back pocket. It's heavy. It affects you, because with me, it's just like I said. Every day I wake up, I'm like, this is a nightmare, right? No, it's my life. It's my reality,
right.
And it's heavy.
And it's going to happen to all of us. Yes,
it is in every form. My husband always says that. It's going to happen to everybody. Every day you're going to lose your parents.
Even if you don't have a good relation with your parents, it's, God forbid, your child or a sibling, your sister, your brother, a very close friend, someone that you love dearly, it's going to happen to all of us. It's just life.
It is, and I've realized that in the last couple months, like, extremely hard because, like I said, my husband's aunt died in July.
Very fresh.
My dad passed in August. My husband's best friend totally unexpectedly passed in September.
And these are going to be all the first holidays.
And then one of his best friend's wife passed this month in October. And that's 4 in a row. And it's supposed to only be 3. They always say it's 3. I'm like, no, we've exceeded that. But 4.
Well, hopefully that's it for quite a long while.
4 great people. And I'm still wrapping my head around it. I mean, the only thing I can think of that gets me through, it's a little bit of a comfort, is I just like to think that they're together. and they're in a better place, because you always hear heaven
And
is just a beautiful
hopefully,
place.
yes, and hopefully we'll meet up again someday.
Yeah, and they're pain free and they're happy and they're together. And that's what gets me through it. I mean, none of us will know until that time comes. But like I said, being a parent, I have to explain this to my kids, and that's what I tell my daughter, because she'll say, "Is Grandpa still sick?" And I'm like, "Nope, he's not." And she'll say, "Is he happy?" And I'm like, "He's so happy." And she'll say, "But he's not with us." I'm like, "No, but he is. He's up there." And I show her, look up in the sky, and I saw like a meme or something recently. It's like you look at the sky differently when somebody that you love is passed and they're up there, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Exactly. It can look so beautiful.
Yeah, and with the four, that I recently experienced passing, those days that they passed, the sky, the sunset, it was like gorgeous, like picturesque. And so I believe it. And, I explain that to my kids, and they're still young, but I feel like they're starting to get it. I mean, it's very true, though. The sky just looks different because they're up there. And I like to believe that.
And they also say they never die as long as you mention them often.
Yep.
And you have photos around, out and about in the house.
You carry on
They're always
traditions.
with you. Exactly.
You do things that they love, they enjoy doing.
Go Bears, go!
Go Bears, as my dad would always say. He wouldn't even do duh. He would just go Bears. And I miss that, because football is just, I have a hard time watching football. I said that to my husband, because that was like our thing. I mean, my dad loved football. He loved his Bears, but he loved football, and he knew, stats like nobody I know. I mean,
It's funny you say that, because my father was big on golf, and for many years, I couldn't, when I'd be flicking the channels if golf is on, I wasn't a golf girl, but
No.
I would sit there and watch it with him if I was at his home with him. And it was kind of nice that it's calming and mellow.
It is very mellow.
But when he
Not
passed,
like football.
I'd have to change it right away for many years.
Well, I think you and I should become golf girls, because my dad also loved golf. It was a huge passion
We'd have
of
a
his.
lot of laughs.
He had
Just don't hit me in the head with the club or
and
the
we
ball.
can drink, but we might drink wine. We might want to drink something that
Maybe we
makes
should go to
us.
Top Golf sometime. And
I think we should, because
they have food and a bar there.
I'm sold, because my dad loved golf. That was his other passion. And my husband keeps saying, "You should golf with me." And I'm like, when? Because I usually let him go and I stay home with kids. But I would like to do it in honor of my dad, because he loved it.
Then let's go
And
sometime.
if your dad loved it, I think we should do it, because that's what it's about. It's about keeping, their interests, their passions, everything that they love to do, keeping it alive. And I know I'll be awful, because golf is actually a very hard sport. I think people underestimate it.
Right,
It's very
think
hard.
It's just so chill and easy.
It's not. Have you ever swung a golf club? Like, it's not.
I know, you
easy.
got to get it way out
It's
there.
not. It's not easy at all. But I mean, I'm willing to learn. I wish I would have done it sooner when my dad was still here and we could do it together. But I would love to do it, for him and for your dad.
If Johnny K's listening, he is telling me right now.
I love that.
Johnny K wants me to mention
And Bobby
that.
C.
And Bobby C. Johnny K had a hole in one, and back in the day, in the newspaper, they would put your name in there and tell you what hole you had it on, and you got a trophy. And
I love that.
It's a little medal in a paperweight.
We should do that.
And he was very proud of that.
He should be, and we should do that, because my husband really took up golf to bond with my dad, because my dad, that was a huge passion of his. And even, when my dad was moved to hospice and he was very weak and very tired, my husband would talk about golf with him, and my dad was giving him tips on his deathbed. And my husband was like, "I'll be right back." And he went to a golf course to try it out. And he came back, he's like, "Bob, you were right. You gave me a good tip." So, and he continues to improve. So that makes me happy. But I think you and I should golf. Should golf together.
We'll do it
in
one
honor
or two times
of our dads.
with us. And
Yes.
then down the ways, maybe we can bring the Misters with. And
the Misters, yeah. We need nicknames for them, but next week we'll
all right.
we'll have that. But we'll leave with our question, because I posed a question on our Instagram. Do you believe in the afterlife? Which most people said they do, which I think is great, because I think it's comforting to think that they're up there and they're with us still, just in a different sense. But our next question will be, does it get better with time? because I'm very new, and like I said, I still wake up like, is this my reality? It sucks that it is. I wish I could change it, but I can't. But you're further down, but
So
like,
I say, I hope there is. I really do. I hope we get all back together someday.
me too.
And yes, it gets better with time. But I'm not going to kid ya. It could be 20 years that are gone, 15 years. You're still going to have a day pop out of nowhere. You're going to think, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And you're going to be sad.
Yeah.
But it does get better with time.
Because
and
it's
I'm
like
sure,
that stone.
exactly,
I'm going to post
like
that again
the
on
stone.
our Unfiltered Instagram page. I'm going to post that. I think that was awesome. You sent it to me. It brought tears to my eyes. I sent it to my sisters. I think it's great. So I'm going to post that. And I want to also just pose those questions. Do you believe in the afterlife? And if you do, why? If you don't, why? And there's no judgment if you don't. It's a heavy topic, but I also want to pose, does grief get better with time? And we're going to end it there. I think that's pretty good for our first official podcast.
Cheers.
Our Wine Wednesday.
Cheers.
Cheers to Johnny K and Bobby C.
Yay.
I love it. Thanks, guys, for joining. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.